everyone, welcome to the House of Medics. We're back on YouTube. It is our first live stream of the year. I'm so excited to be back. If I can just get some comments, just drop a comment, let us know that you're on. Make sure that you like the video, let's interact. This stream is going to be a lot of fun, very relaxed and chilled. So if you don't know me, my name is Dr. Emma. I'm one of the co-founders of the House of Medics and I'm a dermatology doctor. As you can see, I have some beautiful women sitting next to me. I'm just going to let them all introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, my name is Ebun. I'm a clinical pharmacist and I work with GP surgeries across the UK.
Hi everyone, my name is Risata K. I'm a final year medical student at Imperial College London.
Hello, my name is Genevieve and I am an independent prescribing pharmacist and an aesthetic pharmacist.
Very awesome. So look at the kind of powers we have on the panel today. It's going to be very fun. Quick look at the comments. Hi Tanisha, hi Teresa. It's going to be fun today. And as you may have noticed, right on the end, you may be wondering what's that on the table. Those are some patties from an amazing company called Flaky Bakes, who are very kindly sponsoring our live stream today. So we'll tell you a bit more about them at the end. But yeah, make sure you check out Flaky Bakes. Hello Connor, hello Tanisha. Okay, so in true House of Medics fashion, we're going to start with a game, guys. Always start with a game. So hello Darren. Well, I think that's Mummy Morris. Good evening. Okay, so we're going to start with a game. It's Would You Rather. So
Okay,
nice and easy.
that's fine.
Yeah, nothing stressful, guys. Okay, so the first Would You Rather. Would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
I think 10 is enough for me.
Yeah, 10 minutes, because I won't
be
150 years, I won't be alive.
No, but like you could save the world. You could know what's going to happen and you could save the world.
But if you, for example, you saw an asteroid coming in 150 years' time, and you went around telling everyone, they will think you're a crazy person. You get institutionalized. Like, what is this person talking about?
That is true.
No.
That's
valid.
valid.
You really
You've
went
actually
there,
put me
but
off
okay.
because I was starting to think, ooh, yeah.
I'd say 10 minutes. I think 150, it's a long time. A lot of things can happen. You can't control everything. So I'm fine with the 10 minutes.
Don't you think that the 10 minutes is so soon though, it could make you anxious? Because it's literally like, 10 minutes time.
So wait, you see and then you still have to like be there and be like waiting for the 10 minutes to then come. Is it like
that's so Raven, isn't it?
oh yeah.
But you know, the 10 minutes is actually a shout, because coming here, I took the left turn.
You know when you're driving and you take the wrong turn, that 10 minutes would have saved me.
Let me give the audience context. Risata made an illegal turn on her way here.
Oh my
She's so
God.
upset about the fine that's about to come into her door. That's why she's talking about this 10 minutes. Yeah, there's context. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one's really funny. Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear?
Ooh.
I can't sing.
You guys
or
know,
dance, so.
please guys, listen, family, just let everyone dance.
In my head, I think I can dance, but I can't.
But the dancing is better than this.
Yeah, okay, I would say dance.
You think
Yeah.
I would say sing, because obviously if you're in an operation, sometimes they play music. So you can't just start dancing. That's gonna,
That's the truth.
mess up your hand.
It's true.
Yeah. So I'll say sing along.
It depends on the environment, but I would dance.
Yeah,
I love
I think
dancing. So.
I think dance as well. I don't think I'd
Yeah.
want to sing all the time.
No.
Okay, next one. Would you rather find true love today or win the lottery next year?
Lottery.
Sorry.
Love is a lie.
The lottery?
Love is a lie.
Wow.
Lottery.
Love is a lie.
Thank you.
Wait, what do you have to say? Because you're...
Obviously, it's tough for me
You're
to make that
married?
decision because I'm married. So obviously, if it's not tough, I'm just going to go and wait the year and win the lotto.
Yeah, I say lottery.
Yeah.
No, because love is actually a choice and it's a decision.
Okay, I
Like,
get what you mean.
I don't think it's something that you can find.
Yeah.
It's a choice that you make.
Word.
Deep
Yeah,
stuff.
very deep. Okay, you're good at this game, Risata. All right. Would you rather have universal respect or unlimited power?
Ooh.
I have to think about that one.
But
What's
depends on the way that you use the power, because if you use the power correctly, you will get the respect.
Yeah, but I
As
suppose
in-
the way otherwise the game doesn't work.
It's a wicked
Genevieve.
power.
They're
I'm
mutually
trying to do a
exclusive.
Risata,
Yeah,
trying to...
exactly. They're mutually exclusive.
Oh, yeah, I would
think
want the power.
Power. I would say power.
I would want the
I
power
would say
because
power.
no matter what you do, people are going to disrespect
That's what I'm
you.
saying. Some people
Yeah.
respect you today, they won't respect you
That's
tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Power is power.
Power. At least you can use power to do good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Next one. Would you rather give up air conditioning and heating for the rest of your life or give up the internet for the rest of your life?
Because you know me, I'm the kind of person that cannot be cold, as
This
you
is the
guys have
thing.
seen.
When I'm
Yeah,
cold, I
but
can't function.
I'm upset.
Internet, we use that for to get around everything.
Yeah,
Every
that's the
second.
thing. Like, okay, I guess when you're hot, you can like remove clothes, and when you're cold, you can put on clothes. Internet, we kind of need internet though.
I would say internet.
This one is really tough, but life or death for internet.
I think
Yeah.
internet.
Yeah. At least you can use internet to make money.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
Okay.
And I can order a blanket.
It's true. It's true. Okay. I think we'll just do two more.
Okay.
Would you rather swim in a pool full of Nutella or a pool full of maple syrup?
So random.
Very random.
I would say Nutella.
Yeah, Nutella.
The syrup is sticky.
I'm thinking Nutella is dense, so you won't actually.
You won't be able to move
You'll
around.
just be like,
But I'm just
Yeah, but
thinking
Nutella
about...
would also be like,
I would feel very comfortable eating the Nutella as I go
I
through.
can eat my way
Really?
through.
But then the syrup is just a
will
lot.
just get everywhere.
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
Few orifices.
And plus I can't swim, so I need the Nutella to hold me.
That's actually valid. That's actually valid.
So
Okay, I like that. Okay, last one. Would you rather be 11 feet tall or 9 inches tall?
Wait, nine's a bang
okay.
up.
no, 11 feet. Oh, actually, no, it's just a hard one.
11
No,
feet.
11
Probably,
feet.
your head would be scraping the
Yeah, it's a hard one.
I would be 9
Can't pass.
inches.
I would say 9
11
inches
feet tall.
because
People just stump on your head when they feel like it.
every time you
Yeah, I feel like being tall, you'll just like
you'll just be like this.
yeah. Like,
Because you have
Yeah.
to dip.
because the world is actually not made for very tall people. But you know,
True.
we have babies that are very small, but there's still
And we
things that
accommodate
cater
them.
to
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I feel like you can put yourself on something
Mm.
to make yourself
that's
taller.
true.
Yeah.
Because I know there are a lot of people that have the disabilities that are smaller, and they've been able to create a great world around them.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, using technology and whatever. But I feel like when you're taller, it's gonna be a little bit more difficult.
Okay. Yeah. See, we have very logical. Someone said 9 inches now. Very logical people on the panel. Okay, let me head to the comments again. Some more good evenings. Good evening, Rhoda, Gabriella, Angie, Connor. I think I already said. Connor said Pastor Ebun is glowing. Okay. Alexis, King David, Nyasha, Annabelle, Phaedria. Wow, so many people on tonight. Blessing, Niniola. Someone whose name's in a different language. Good evening. Her name was Lola and Elia. Good evening, everybody. Okay, so enough of the game. We're going to get started. The way this stream is going to happen is we're basically going to discuss a few different news articles that have happened, things that are relevant to the healthcare world. These, the discussion that we have does not represent the views of HOM. It does not represent the views of the House of Medics. It's nothing professional. We're just here to have a very relaxed chat. Because as we always say, as medics, we have lives too. We should be able to speak freely and just enjoy ourselves. So it's just very relaxed, but we're going to talk about some pertinent issues that have taken place in the healthcare industry that have occurred over the past year. So if we can put up the first news article, we'll get going. Okay, so the first one is NHS experiences worst A&E waiting times on record with nearly 13,000 patients waiting more than 12 hours for treatment. So I can start that. I've worked in A&E. I did 4 months working in A&E, and I know. So we usually the target is that when a patient enters, they should leave A&E within 4 hours. But I know that often we don't reach that target, and I know waiting hours can be absolutely crazy. And I have lots of stories, to be honest. I'm full of stories. If anyone knows me, but maybe Risata, what do you think? Anything that you'd like to comment on that news article?
So I think what is actually contributing to this increase in waiting times is the whole disruption that COVID has brought to the healthcare system. So we saw the response of the healthcare system to COVID initially. All the elective procedures were cancelled. People weren't able to access their GPs. So I think a lot of people just waited around with healthcare conditions that progressively got worse and worse. And I think that is probably leading to an influx now of people going to the A&E in a worse state than they would have been if they were able to see their GPs earlier. So I think that's probably one of the contributing factors.
I think as well, it's lack of education. So, for example, some people don't know that not everything is an A&E issue. And obviously that wastes a lot of time. If you have a sore throat, you've got tonsillitis. You know, I think when I was a child, I had tonsillitis, and my mom brought me to A&E. Like, she thought, you know, something was really wrong and I needed to be seen there and then. But it could have been a GP issue. So I think that, you know, when we're growing up, we're not really taught, where do I go? What do I do now? I think that is a factor as well.
And then also, again, just to reiterate, because obviously I was a hospital pharmacist, so I knew sort of the timelines would get people very angry. Coming into the pharmacy, you know, like, I've been here, imagine you don't have a medication for them, and like, I've been here for like 12 hours waiting, and then now you can't give me my medication. But I think a lot of it, again, is to reiterate the whole GP issue, because, you know, you're not taking, I think, how do I put this politically, but I just think that in many cases, because GPs are very overwhelmed, they don't tend to take time with the patient. And because of that, as you said, things can either worsen, or you feel like you won't be heard at your GP. So you'll now go and make it a bigger issue in A&E to get the attention. Because I think a lot of times people know when there's something really wrong with them as well. And it's like, I'm not going to get that attention from the GP. I'm going to go and make a ruckus in A&E. It's also just based on trust, because even for Ebun and I were pharmacists, and you know, pharmacy is labelled the first point of contact in healthcare, because you can literally walk into a community pharmacy and be seen, and there you get filtered to either, you know, call 111 or go to A&E or see your GP. And I think a lot of people don't really trust pharmacists as much as they would. So again, it's down to lack of education and the system, should we say, reiterating the roles of different healthcare professionals. Because, for example, you might have a foot problem and you think you have to go to, but it could just be that you go to a chiropodist. So again, it's based on your education, like how educated you are or aware that you are, and also the overwhelming, because I think a lot of people like to blame GPs and the A&E system, but you need to realize that these are also human beings. So as you said, with the whole COVID situation, a lot of people were out with COVID. So if you've gone from 10 staffs to 2,
what can you do?
what is actually physically impossible for you to be taken care of in the time that you want to? And I think we have to also be quite sympathetic to the healthcare system, and I think that's why a lot of people are really upset with the lack of reward, I guess, during the COVID period.
We have to be sympathetic, but I've had some times I've been abused. I've had people, you know, when I did work in community pharmacy, they're like, oh, you just stick a label on a box. And
Literally.
I did 4 years of uni training.
To stick a label on a box.
But it's like, you know, I've had times where I've literally had to, you know, intervene in a prescription, be like, no, this isn't right. I need to call your doctor. But they didn't want to hear that. You know, we live in a generation that's they want things now. Like, they don't want to wait. But I'm thinking, this is a serious issue. So I just think, okay, education is one, but how do you teach people to respect? I think that's an issue.
Because I think it would also say as well, I think maybe people don't know, the doctors, we get abused as well. It's not just oh, because I didn't see a doctor. When they finally see the doctor, they're still quite abusive sometimes. So I think that 100%. And I think, to be honest, I think the NHS is the most amazing system, one of the best healthcare systems in the world. But when things are free, people do not appreciate it. So I remember there's one particular patient that used to come into our A&E. She came to A&E 6 times in one day. There was nothing wrong with her that we could find. I can't say there was nothing wrong with her, but you know, several doctors couldn't find anything wrong with her. And she would come and we'd say, you're fine. And then she'd go and then she'd come straight back. Because it's free. She can come as many times as she likes.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think we have to introduce some sort of value to it, even if it's a small fee, even if it's like £10.
Yeah.
Because we've all had stories as well of people calling ambulances because their foot was hurting or things that, you know, you don't know how, do you know how many thousands of pounds it costs every time an ambulance comes to a person's house? So definitely more educational stuff like that. And I think definitely... I think we have to enforce it somehow, like what you're saying. I had someone come to A&E because they had earwax in their ear.
That's something.
And it was like early. I remember because my shift used to start at 7:15 a.m. She was the first person I saw. So this woman got out of bed early to bring the wax in her ear to A&E. And you just got to think, we have to charge this person. Otherwise she's going to do it all the time. She's going to do it all the time. So it's just how do we enforce these things? Someone's commented 111. I think 111 is a really good system. I remember when it was first being rolled out, people thought it wouldn't work. People were still going to call 999. But I guess the problem with 111 is that now it's also overwhelmed. So when you call 111, you're still waiting 6 hours.
You're still waiting the same 12 hours.
Yeah.
You are.
It's a big problem. Big problem.
But I do definitely agree with putting value on the system, and that's how you also have your respect. Because as you said, I mean, when I was working in hospital, I had a particular lady as well who would come at least two to three times a week because she knew that she would come and complain of different kinds of pain, different places, you know, and it's because you can, if you want to. I've had several occasions where people have said, yeah, well, it's free. It's free. Like, for example, I don't know, a lot of CCG, so commissioning bodies in particular areas, they don't want to finance certain things. So that when they find out that, okay, you have to pay for E45 now, they go mad, right?
I pay my taxes.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm on income support. Like, yeah, but you still have to pay for paracetamol if it hasn't been prescribed. Like, some people legit pick things from the shelf and they're like, oh, it's free. It's for real. And it's just like, there needs to, as you said, it doesn't have to be much, but, and you know what, it's not even for raising finances, it's just that we put value on the healthcare system in a way that it's not out of order for those who are genuinely suffering, but then it's also that people can understand, you know, and respect the system. As you said, NHS, I know we speak a lot, like, there's a lot of negativity around the NHS, but if you look at it in the world context, it's one of the best systems that there is, so that you don't suffer. But, man.
It is a very good system. And if you look at the value in terms of medication, so working in pharmacy, you realize how much drugs are actually destroyed. Like, sometimes there's bags on bags on bags. And I'm saying, if only people paid for this, we wouldn't be destroying this right now. So not only will the value in the end, it will, you know, mean that there's more finances available for things that need to be used, but there'll be less wastage and people will actually be like, okay, I will just get this when I need to, not because it's free. I think that's a mentality that the NHS has kind of got, the people that use the NHS have got. So definitely that value, I'm all for it.
Awesome. Okay, I'm enjoying this. Should we go on to the next topic? Yeah, let's go to the next topic, ladies. So, government refuses to add sickle cell patients to the free prescription list.
This is a sickle
Now,
cell
yo, okay, so I'm basically, I am qualified in sickle cell disease. And this is something that upsets me so much. I mean, I read this article and it really upset me because you don't understand what these poor people go through. I think sickle cell is one of the worst diseases, that I've personally seen. You know, a lot of the time, they actually cannot go to work because of how excruciating. Imagine that you have a tube like this. Obviously, this is not the real size. But imagine you have a tube like this and your blood cell is basically like this. Guys, I hope you... Sorry, my hands are a bit dry. And it's trying to force its way. Do you know the kind of pain that causes? You cannot physically get up and go to work. You know, so how do they expect... I mean, there's so many negative, like, so much negativity over people with sickle cell because people feel like, oh, you're faking your pain. Pain is something that is very subjective. You cannot record pain. I mean, they have stinking pain charts. But I mean, what is very painful to me is not going to be what is painful to a Risata or an Ebun or like, it is literally some people, like when I was on the wards with sickle cell patients, they would be literally screaming in agony. I mean, how can, I just don't think it's fair that such a debilitating disease would not qualify to being on the prescription list. It makes no sense, because now actually the only reason why I'd say 95% of my patients who have sickle cell disease, the only reason why they qualify for free prescriptions is because they now have to be on benefits.
They can't work.
So there are some sickle cell patients who are really trying, and they're getting up to go to work and do the best that they can, managing their disease, and they have to be on several medications. So you've got your antibiotics that you have to take, and then your pain medications, and then the older you get, the more complicated, you know, you have certain organ failures. So, you know, as you go older, the amount of medicines you have to have increases. So you find that they're now having to buy prepayment certificates to cover all that medication. I just think it's really disgusting. I'm sorry. This is from me. It's my opinion.
But if I can,
I hate it.
if I can give some context just for those watching, in case you're not medical. So, of course, sickle cell disease is a disease that is predominantly affects black people. It is a disease of people of African heritage. And in the UK, in order to get a free prescription, you need to be under the age of 18 and in full-time education, or over the age of 60. 65, or over the age of 65, or receiving some form of income support or benefit, or have a chronic condition. And there are certain conditions that are on the list. So for sickle cell to not be on that list is very surprising. And one of the main things to remember is most people that have sickle cell are young. So as soon as they turn, you know, over 18, they're going to be in that bracket where they need to pay. And prescriptions cost £9.35 per item. So if you need antibiotics, painkillers, something else, it's £9.35 for each thing. And, you know, maybe you'll get a month's supply if you're lucky, sometimes less. So let me ask the question that everyone is asking. Is sickle cell not on the free prescriptions list because of institutional racism?
I have something to say. So I'm looking at the government, and you know, during the COVID period, I've been watching some parliament discussions, and you have to look at who is making these decisions. I'm not going to say it is racism, but I think it's a lack of knowledge and a lack of understanding. Because let's be real, MPs, they've grown up in nice areas, they probably don't know anybody with sickle cell. You know, I think a lot of them don't even have a health background. So for them, they're thinking more from a financial point of view. So I wouldn't say it's racism, but I think it's two different worlds. Sickle cell affects people from ethnic minorities. So if you're not exposed to that, and you're not willing to understand, or even, you know, try and just say, okay, let me, you know, see if I can talk to somebody with sickle cell, or do whatever I need to do to understand, then there'll be that gap. There will always be that gap, and it's like them versus the people over there. So until that gap, there's a bridge, you know, that will be the challenge. I don't think it's racism, but I do think it's maybe it's a lack of care, maybe it's a lack of understanding, lack of experience. So I don't think there's one person to blame, but I definitely do think they need to sort of have that time with who they're dealing with.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you know, you wouldn't know.
Just to echo that, literally, I feel like these days things aren't changed unless there is enough noise being made about it. So I think it's up to us also as a community now to now come together to spread awareness about this, so that those people that make the decisions will this will come to their attention, because otherwise, to them, it doesn't affect their community. So there isn't a problem at hand.
Also, a key thing, and I want to reiterate what you're saying, is education, because even in medical school, you probably have about one lecture on sickle cell disease, if that. In pharmacy school, zero. I don't remember learning sickle cell disease. And then in nursing school, I think they said again, it was like maybe one lecture. And so they're taking this lack of education about sickle cell disease into the workplace. And, you know, on top of the clinical side of things, I also studied the cultural side. And I saw and I was noting as I was in the wards the attitude of healthcare professionals to sickle cell sufferers. And it wasn't good.
Yeah.
You know, again, it's about being aware of the severity of the disease and how debilitating it is. I mean, don't get me wrong, in any arena, you will have people that will take the mick, let's say, but the majority cannot be lying. You know, the majority cannot be overstating the pain of the disease, and how, you know, how much because we don't even know. If I didn't study sickle cell disease, let me be honest with you, I wouldn't really know about it. It's not even spoken in culture. It's not spoken about in schools. It's not spoken about in the workplaces. You know, a lot of campaigns in the sickle cell society, like let's say, the sickle cell society, that what they're trying to do is now put formalized education into schools and workplaces, like training courses. You know how you've got like mental health first aid and stuff like that, because your manager will not know about your condition. So now you're taking, a lot of the times, a lot of my sickle cell patients wouldn't want to recover because they're panicking, that they just want to go home. I mean, they want to just go to work because they know that their manager's not going to understand why you've had 10 days off work. Like, do you see? So is education, just people actually knowing what this disease is. And then I think when we have a better social approach, it will probably even help those who have the condition to speak up and not suffer.
Yeah, and I think just to buttress that, I've done 4 months on haematology as well. I've done 4 months of most things, guys. I did 4 months of haematology, and I think 100% what you're saying, that a lot of the sickle cell patients, I think, are very misunderstood. So you can imagine they're all young, maybe in their 20s, and they're frequently being admitted to hospitals. So when they're here, when they come to hospital, obviously they're upset, they're frustrated that they're in hospital again, and they're in a lot of pain. So I know a lot of the nurses used to be like, oh, she's got a bad attitude, he's got a bad attitude, he's always ringing his bell. But I think people don't really understand how frustrating it must be to be so young, to always be bouncing in and out of hospital because you're in so much pain. So I 100% agree with what you said. It needs a lot more education and a lot more, I think the media has to back them more to really show what it's like to live with sickle cell. Yeah. Awesome. Really loving the discussion. Let's go on to the next news article. Let's see what's next. Okay, millions are dying from drug-resistant infections, Global Report says. So I looked at this earlier, and I think it said, 12 million people have died from infections that we don't have antibiotics for. And they said that that's more than the death toll for AIDS and malaria because we don't have antibiotics.
Wow.
So we've got 2 pharmacists on the panel, so I'm sure they have a lot to say.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching a TED talk on this actually, and the way that the woman spun it really scared me, can't even lie, from a clinical perspective. But she was basically saying that imagine us reversing time because of this situation. So it's almost like going back to before antibiotics were actually discovered. And it all, obviously from a pharmacy perspective, there is a huge campaign, a huge drive about antibiotic resistance. You know, a lot of people still have this culture or this mentality that when they're sick, they have to have antibiotics. It's crazy. All it could be is just that they have just like some pain, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, do you sell antibiotics? And obviously in the UK, because they've understood the situation, you can't buy it over the counter, but in a lot of countries you can still buy antibiotics over the counter, and there isn't the right advice as to which one, because obviously specific antibiotics go with specific conditions. So especially like, and as well, making sure that you complete, I always say it, like complete. Of course. Guys, I can't even lie. I feel there've been some times when I've had antibiotics and it's literally like, you know, but it's so important, because then if that disease doesn't leave your body completely, it will get resistant to the antibiotics. And as well, I think they said that the last time an actual antibiotic was made was like 20 years ago.
So before you carry on, can I give, again, some context for those who are watching that are non-medics? So what Genevieve is explaining is that if you take an antibiotic to treat, let's say you have a chest infection, you're given a course of antibiotics that are meant to last 7 days. often what will happen is by day 3 you're feeling better. So a lot of people will stop the course and then just maybe they'll keep the last 4 days and they'll say, oh, I'll keep this in my cupboard for later. And the problem with doing that is because the germs or the bugs, the bacteria in the body that have caused the infection have been exposed to that antibiotic, the bacteria can now change itself and mutate and do styles so that the bacteria becomes resistant to the antibiotic. So the next time that antibiotic is presented to that bacteria, it's completely ineffective. And that's how you have bacteria and different bugs that all of a sudden the antibiotics we used to use to treat them don't work anymore. So yeah, that's just the context. Please continue.
No, I think as well, to add on to what you're saying, it's a fundamental issue. Like people feel sick and they're like, okay, let me get the antibiotics straight away. But GPs also feel that pressure, you know, to give the antibiotics, because if you've got somebody that's ringing your phone, they're not going away, you are going to just prescribe the antibiotics. And you see it from the children all the way up in every age group, from young people. And sometimes you want to say, you know, you actually don't need antibiotics for this. But again, it's a culture, it's something that people are used to. And the moment they feel better, they don't want to finish the course. So it's like, where do you start with the education? Where do you even start with antibiotics? It's a huge thing. I think from my mom, and I'm thinking of that culture, antibiotics, as soon as you're sick, you know, got
Antibiotics.
it's antibiotics that you need, but it's not. We need to actually teach people to build your immune system. If you've got a cold, if you've got the flu, some cases will need antibiotics. That's given, but you can actually build your immune system if you're not eating properly, if you're not exercising. Take vitamins, whatever you need to do to build that immune system to be able to fight some infections without antibiotics, then do that. But again, that takes a lot of effort. That takes a lot of work. And we're in that microwave generation that wants quick fix. Oh, this is going to help me. Okay, I'll do that. You know, rather than put in the work to get immunity.
And I can say from medical school, like they're really hammering into us upcoming doctors that reduce your antibiotic prescription. Don't just be prescribing antibiotics for everything. So we have the understanding coming up, and actually it's interesting in my last GP placement, obviously I sit here in the consultation with the doctors as they're speaking to the patients. So sometimes a patient comes in, I think, okay, the condition is not that serious, they don't need antibiotics, right? But then the GP will prescribe an antibiotic. And then after the consultation, I'll be looking at him and he'll be like, I know. And he'll be like, I know you probably think I shouldn't have prescribed an antibiotic. I'm thinking, yes, I don't think you should have prescribed. But then the GP would be like, you know, some of these patients, they're so pushy, as you were saying. They know what they want, and you know, now in medicine we moved away from the paternalistic approach to a patient-centered approach. So we're told to kind of do what the patient wants, and I think that's a bit problematic because now patients, especially those from like a middle-class background, they know what they want, and they're coming to the doctor and they're gonna press you to give them what they want. Otherwise, they're not gonna be happy. And we have so much option in terms of, if you don't give them what they want, next time they might want to call another GP, speak to the other GP, or they'll put in a complaint, and then it's like, is your reputation or your credibility at hand? So going back to what you said, I think, yes, the upcoming doctors are being educated. However, the public needs to be educated as well, that you don't need antibiotics for everything. Some things, for example, common colds, they're actually viruses, they're not bacteria, so you don't need to take antibiotics for that. But a lot of people don't even know that.
I think there's a lot of pressure on GPs actually. When you said that, I was remembering a situation when I was doing my prescribing course, and the GP was like typing every single thing he said and everything the patient said, typing it out, and he said, I have to do this now because these people these days, they're ready to complain, they're ready to say, you know, if something happens, you have to be like, okay, no, this is the evidence that I gave proper advice. So I think it is quite hard for GPs. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of angry people with the pandemic. It's made people even angrier, even more anxious. So
sometimes GPs have 7 minutes. 7 minutes to see the patient and decide what to do. It's crazy.
Honestly. Thank you to our GPs though.
One thing that the GP said as well was that sometimes you'd be like, okay, it's not that bad, they don't need antibiotics. But then a week later, they may come in and they're a lot worse. So he said sometimes they just prescribe the antibiotic to protect themselves, because if they do end up getting worse, then that comes back on you. Like, why didn't you prescribe it?
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of prophylactic prescribing, but then people don't. Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys. I'm very, very sorry. Yeah, just they give it to you before the situation occurs, if that makes sense. So I know there's a lot of that type of prescribing, but then patients will just take it because they want to feel better now.
They have it.
And it's also even the whole case of stirring up anger. It's just like, if it doesn't work now, is another problem. So I just feel like it's a catch-22 for GPs, and I really do respect them, honestly, because it's something else.
Yeah.
I think something that you said that we didn't really touch on, which is really important, is that we're talking about the UK, where you actually have to ask a doctor to prescribe it for you. But in a lot of countries, you just go and buy it. So the story I have it when I was in Ghana, guys, I tested positive for COVID, and I had no symptoms. I was honestly completely fine. But my mum was now, you've tested positive for COVID. Let me message Uncle So-and-so because he knows which tablet you should take. So she's come back now and she's like, he said I should go and buy this, this and this. I said, these are antibiotics. First of all, I'm fine. I don't have any symptoms. Second of all, COVID is a virus. You can't kill a virus with these antibiotics. And so you can imagine that's what's happening. Yeah. People are just going and buying them and just swallowing them like Skittles when they're completely unnecessary. So it really is how we ever going to be able to tackle this problem.
It's even similar. I know it's a bit moving away a little bit, but it's like Ovex, mebendazole. So that's basically for deworming, yeah. But deworming is a cultural thing. So it's almost like once in a while you've got to deworm. But obviously, the regulation, should we say, is that you only deworm when you actually see the worm. So when you've gone and taken a dump, you can see the worms in your dump. So that's when you will now take Ovex, and the rest of your family or the people that you live with will take it too. But because it's now a call, oh, please, can I have Ovex? Or like, you get, and it's just, obviously, as best as I can, I'll be like, I've managed to actually send away a lot of people and explain to them that if you take it before time, if, God forbid, you actually have worms, it won't work as effectively, and it just will keep happening. So it's better that you actually wait until you have worms to take the mebendazole. So
big issue. I remember watching a documentary, and it was talking about like the biggest threats to our nation, and someone was saying like nuclear weapons, World War III, and then I remember this lady came on, she was like, forget that stuff. Antibiotic resistance is the biggest threat to mankind. Yes. So definitely bear that in mind, guys. When someone said my mum made us take one every year. Honestly, lucky it was once a year. For some people, it was once a month.
I'm telling you.
Mum would say, just swallow the Ovex.
Can you imagine getting a scratch? People don't understand that it will be as small as getting a scratch. Like you fell down, you tripped, and now you've got a wound, and you would have just been like maybe flucloxacillin, and now it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
You're gonna die from tripping.
Crazy, very crazy. So bear that in mind, guys. Next time you're asking for antibiotics, make sure you actually need it, and if your doctor says you don't, believe them, because there's a reason. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. Physicians like me are suffering burnout as never before. And if I can actually cross out physicians and just put healthcare professionals like me are suffering burnout as never before. Who wants to take this one?
I mean, it's hard out there. Like,
it's hard in the street.
Like, when you're talking to colleagues, everybody is tired. Everybody's overworked. They're not taking their holidays. Everybody, it's different. Honestly, the pandemic has put a lot of stress on healthcare professionals, and you really do see it. So I think it's a tricky thing, because if there's a pandemic and there's, people have to isolate and whatnot, there's just not enough staff. But at the same time, I think work culture needs to change. Because as a pharmacist, and it's so crazy, we're even speaking about this, because there was a post I saw that said, oh, this pharmacy will be closed between 1:30 and 2 p.m. That's like a high street pharmacy. Working in that environment, it is a strange thing for a pharmacist to take a break.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if
Honestly.
you know, I will go into work and be like, yeah, my break is between 1 and 2. They'll be like, we don't do that here. I was like,
We don't get breaks in
Wow.
pharmacy.
Honestly.
Like, it's more foreign to have a break in pharmacy than not.
Yeah.
So even when you have a break and you're eating, people will now be coming in. Oh, can you sign this?
Exactly.
Okay. So even most times when I'm signing during my break, it's almost like I have to double up because I'm eating and now I have to focus on whether the thing is correct.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
It's definitely a work culture thing. So organizations, they should be like, no, this is the time that the pharmacist is not available. They should enforce it. But again, there's different things, like they want to reach targets, they want to make sure their patients are happy and whatnot. But you have to think about the person, because if me as a pharmacist, I'm not functioning at my best, I can make a mistake.
It's a safety
You know,
issue.
it is a safety issue. So the bigger picture is work culture. Like, we're not animals, you know, we are humans, and sometimes you need to rest, sometimes you need a break. So I don't know if it's a healthcare thing.
No, I don't know, because it's weird, because they even say, for example, like I locum. So imagine I do a 12-hour shift, I only get 30 minutes break.
Crazy.
And even in 30 minutes break, they will give you the option to have it, like, you either take a break unpaid or you work through. Imagine that's an option.
Yeah.
Like, imagine you're basically being told that, okay, you can take a break, but we're not going to pay you.
Yeah.
But you've banged the 12.
It's not a break.
It's not a break. And in that 30 minutes, they're still coming to tell you to sign.
Yeah.
Like, even I remember I put up the sign 1 to 2. Patients were going crazy.
No, I don't
As in,
care.
you know me as well, I will leave the store, so it's not even like you can call me. So I just, what? As I was walking away, what? How? Like, I need my medicine now. Like,
No,
I was
you
like,
can wait
do you
an
not
hour.
understand that I need to, like,
I need to drink water.
like, during COVID, it was crazy, because even this concept of burnout, I remember I used to work in a place in Northwest, and guys, like, when COVID first hit, I think I can say that's the time that most healthcare professionals experienced like, burnout for real.
Yeah.
It was
was
overwhelming.
crazy. Honestly.
You know, because everybody was scared, so they're obviously just going to come to the pharmacy like, do you have paracetamol? Do you have ibuprofen?
hand sanitizer.
You don't have hand sanitizer. We don't have. So it's like, then you can't even have a break because it's just too much. And then by the time you finish your day, like, honestly, sometimes I was so like scared of making mistakes because I was so tired. Imagine, like, you start work at 9 to 7 and you've just gone the whole day. And imagine, people have COVID, so your dispenser only works from 9 to 1. The backup has COVID. So now I'm dispensing as the pharmacist and then checking at the same time. So it's just recipe for stuffs. Do you get, like, it's crazy.
Let me ask Risata. So as a student, do they, you know, do you get taught about burnout as a student, or like, do you hear about it? Are there things that you are taught to sort of prevent yourself getting it, or is everyone just like, whatever?
Yeah, I mean, from first year, I mean, as soon as we enter medical school, they hammer into us about having a good work-life balance, looking after yourself, taking breaks from studying, and having a life outside of medical school, because obviously there is that a huge risk that, you know, you're gonna get burnt out, or you're gonna kind of get overwhelmed with the workload if you just work all the time. So one word that keeps going around a lot is resilience. You know, they love to talk about resilience, and they love to talk about how we have to be resilient as healthcare professionals, because I think they know that this field that we're going into, and even the training pathway to get into that field, burnout is just hanging around the corner, just waiting for you. As the pandemic hit, as students, I think didn't feel the brunt of it like those that have already started working in the field, because we initially weren't classified as, you know, staff, right? So they just told us, okay, you guys stay at home. However, they did ask us to come and volunteer if we wanted to, and there was a good response from medical students going to volunteer on the ward. But yeah, I don't think we felt it as the doctors and the pharmacists and the healthcare profession that were actually on the front line. Yeah,
because I do worry a lot about doctors coming up, because or not just doctors, but healthcare professionals coming up, because it's like it's just getting worse and worse and worse, and people are leaving the profession like never before. So what happens for those who are just entering it now? And I actually don't know what you can even tell a person to prevent burnout, because we know it. We know, like, oh yeah, make sure you've got time for yourself, make sure you schedule leave, blah blah blah. But people are still getting burnt out. So I really don't know. I don't know if you guys have any ideas. How are we going to stop this? Because it's becoming a pandemic in itself.
To be honest, you just need more people, because I remember during lockdown, there was like a stir of anger in my hospital because they were actually being told that they were not allowed to take break. Holiday in this period of time. So what do you do when you're not even allowed? A lot of situations like nurses, their colleagues have, they're absent because of COVID, and then they too feel guilty for leaving the ward in that state. So you finish you've done 12 to 12, you finish your shift, but there's nobody there, so you're now going to stay until 3.
Unbelievable.
By that time, you're the mistakes. I don't know what can be done. It's like we just have to encourage more people into the healthcare system. I think I was reading an article about GPs, and apparently there is like almost like a 30-year gap. So you know, you had the old generation, those who actually started the GPs. You know, you have your family GP. So now they're slowly retiring. They're at the age of retiring. So there's a huge gap between those who are studying to become GPs and those who are retiring. And even the GP exam is very difficult, and the training years is long. So I think I read somewhere that they're actually trying to reduce the training years to become GP so that they can quickly push doctors into the GP to increase the number of GPs available. So we can give the advice, but then if, for example, I'm working with Ebun and she's sick, I'm going to have, as a pharmacist, legally, you've got to be there. So if you're sick, you have to firm it, unless they find a locum.
And a lot of places they won't. They won't get the locum. Scary stuff. I think, just for anyone, I think one important thing that we can leave people with is, if you are a healthcare professional and you're experiencing burnout, talk to someone, even if you feel like there's no one to ask, even if you just DM the House of Medics on any of our platforms, which will say at the end, someone will get back to you, because we know it's really difficult. We're all working really, really hard. So reach out. That's why we formed the House of Medics, to support one another. So All right, let's go on to the next one. This may be the last one, actually. I think this will be the last one. 6 reasons to start losing weight. Health chiefs launch anti-obesity drive after data shows that 63% of adults are too fat. I will say, this is from the Daily Mail. We do not endorse the Daily Mail. The House of Medics does not endorse the Daily Mail in any way, but I did like the way that the heading was written. I thought it was very catching. So, 63% of British adults are too fat.
Me, I'm in the 60s.
No, you're not.
I think in terms of pandemic weight, I actually don't know anybody that hasn't put on weight during the pandemic. Even those of us who are healthcare professionals who were still going to work. So there's not even that excuse of, it's because I was sitting at home. I was at work every day and I still put on weight. So what are we going to do about this obesity pandemic? Because it's
I
a
just
big problem.
think that they need to make salad cheaper than McDonald's. That's all, because honestly, as I think our lives are getting busier, and you're hungry, so you want to, trust me, in the bottom of my heart, guys, I want to be able to eat salad, but I'm driving, so I'm gonna go to McDonald's drive-through. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm saying is the availability. I know these days a lot of supermarkets have campaigns like, guys, we have fruit under £1, buy it, sort of thing. But it's fast food. That's just the truth. They don't have any cheap, healthy fast food options available. And because our lives are genuinely fast, there's, I don't know, I just feel that they need to stop multi bags, like big bags of things.
What's multi-bags?
Like, as in, popcorn.
Give
us this one, because listen, if you give me this of Butterkiss sweet and salt popcorn, do you get what I'm saying? It's deep into culture, because I'm seeing children as well, and it's psychological, because there was a study and they showed that when your parent is overweight, you as a child will be overweight. So the education is actually with the parents, because I remember personal thing, my dad was really overweight, and he got sick, and when he got sick, he had to change his diet, and because he changed his diet, we all changed our diet by force.
Yeah.
So, and I can tell you the kind of things that we were eating wasn't good, okay? But it was now the education, because he'd got into that situation, that now we were eating vegetables, fruits, like my mum wasn't using like Maggi cubes anymore, or even our food doesn't have that much salt, because my dad couldn't eat salt. Even now my dad is completely pescatarian, completely organic.
Wow.
So we would have like organic milk, we would have organic everything.
Yeah.
So it really stems from like the parent, the adult having that education. Unfortunately, my dad had to go through illness to get to that place. But these health foods are really expensive. If you go to that Planet Organic or, you know, these health food stores, it's so expensive that it's just like, I'm just going to go at Aldi and you know, get what I need to get.
I think as well, obesity is a public health issue.
Yeah.
Because if you look at London, say for example, let's say South London, there'll be more people that are obese there than, let's say, Chelsea and Westminster. Because of finances, because of the social situation. So somebody who has a parent that's working 2 jobs, they might not have time to cook a healthy meal for the child. What's easier? It's fish and chips, it's snacks, fill the cupboard, give the child a phone, they'll be fine. Whereas somebody that lives in Chelsea and Westminster, for example, they may have time to cook, they may have more time to spend with their children, and they're able to have fresh meals. So it is a public health issue, and I've always seen this in different areas, working in different areas, you see the difference in people. So I think it's, again, if I speak about from culture, I never used to eat vegetables and fruit, and that was normal. You know, so it was only until I started to be more aware of, no, you don't have to have meat with every meal. Like it's not a necessity. So
the African will say that if
there's no meat, then it's
not
not a problem.
So I remember I used to eat rice and stew by itself, and people would look at me like, "Where's the meat?" I'm like, "I don't want it right now," you know. But it's just that mindset of I need 5 big meats, and it has to be full of oil and salt. But it really doesn't. You can have a nice meal. I'm telling all the people around me, let's use more, less seasoning. Let's, you know, maybe not have meat all the time. So I think it starts with one person, and through that, then hopefully the next generation will be able to understand. But I think it's going to be hard because of how far we've gone. It's so easy to get sweets, you know, get Coke, chocolate, everything is so easy. But a young person might not want to go and get a salad. That's just the reality.
Walk into a pharmacy staff room.
You know,
It's
snacks,
all the sweets and
everywhere.
Like,
the whole day, just eating.
Yeah, can we talk about also how in the hospitals, I don't know about the other hospitals, but in like Imperial College Trust, for example, they used to have a Subway which at least offers like fresh salads and that type of stuff. All the Subways have been replaced with AMTs, which is like coffee, sausage rolls and pastries. So in every single hospital you go, there's no healthy options. There's Costa, there's coffee shops, you can get like sausage rolls, quick convenient stuff, and that's not helping any
Even
of
the
us.
vending machines.
Exactly.
The vending machines,
They need to increase the amount of healthy, also fast food options, because a lot of us, we don't actually have the option but to have fast food sometimes. So there needs to be more guacamoles and, you know, like,
but cheap though.
Exactly. And
that's the problem, because I can see
what
guacamole, but it's £10 compared to £1.99 or $2 GC. And even in hospitals, funny that you say that, because even in hospital, like hospital food,
It's really
it's
bad.
terrible. Like, even, you know, in the cancer wards, I have a family member that had cancer, and you know that cancer can feed off sugar, and they were giving them like sweet, like sugar-filled yogurts and chocolate and things like that. And it's just like you yourself, who are trying to prevent us from eating these things, you're feeding diseases which, you know, I mean, we must understand, I think we must be very conscious of the fact that increase in weight can lead to diseases.
Yeah.
I don't think we really realize that. And I think, no, you know, we're not discouraging you being who you are, your shape and whatever. But unfortunately, when the more you increase your weight, a lot of the times when we're learning about risk factors is being overweight, being obese. And so it's not that, you know, we're forcing you being a stick. Nobody's saying anybody should be a stick, but we have to be health conscious. Yeah. Because let me tell you the truth, guys. I've got 3 floors in my house, my new house, guys. When I get to the it's not good for me. Yeah. Do you see? Yeah. And even those inabilities and discomforts, it's telling you that your body is not, we're not supposed to be heavy, like, you know, health-wise. Yeah. So there has to be, I mean, I know they're trying to do campaigns. I remember the time when, what's that guy who changed our meals?
Jamie
I remember that time, year 7, when I got to secondary school, we used to have pizza.
Oh,
we used to have Panda Pop.
Panda Pop.
Who remembers Panda Pop? Yeah. That thing is not from the Lord. Okay? That thing is so filled with sugar. Yeah. We used to have that the day when he came. And we had lasagna, we had pasta on wheels.
No salt.
What was that thing they used to, the pasta shop or whatever? Pasta King. And the dry pasta. You know, it was painful, but he was going somewhere, you know, he was trying. And I think it has to be integrated. Or, you know, I know they introduced the sugar tax and stuff like that. Things like that are quite positive, you know. But it has to be systemic. And to be honest, it stems from the home. Yeah, it does. It stems from the home. Because, like, I'm going to walk into my house and you guys, I have a snack drawer.
Yeah, so do I.
You know, sometimes, but it's not, you know, sometimes it goes from time to time and time. You know.
I think we've spoken a lot about food, but then there's also the exercise.
People
are exercising.
I was going to say as well.
Honestly,
I feel like the lifestyle in this country doesn't help because the work culture is so much so that you spend your life working. Yeah. After work, you're coming home, it's dark. If you have kids and other responsibilities as well, it's hard. Like, how are you going to go and exercise? How are you going to go to the gym? Especially if you're like above a particular age, you're probably not comfortable with like stepping into a gym for the first time and all of that. So is the sedentary lifestyle that this country and lifestyle here encourages, that is also leading to us gaining weight as well.
Definitely. And I was thinking about fitness recently this week. Like, sometimes we look at it from how do I look? Like, do I have a particular shape? But I think we have to start looking at, am I healthy? Yeah. Can I walk? Can I run without being out of breath? Because if you can't do those things, then there's no point looking great, but your heart is not healthy. Yeah. So definitely it's a thing that has to be worked on. And I really agree with what you said. The lifestyle in, let's say, London, it's very city, from work to home to Netflix to food. You know, you have to be really motivated and you have to kind of understand the reason why you're doing something like working out. And I think there's so many ways you can do it. It's not just the gym. You can do home workouts, you can walk, you can even cleaning, gardening, all these things are ways to be fit. So it's an issue, but I think we just keep speaking about it, keep encouraging people. When I have patients that then on a lot of medication, the medication is great, but if you don't deal with the fundamental issues like health, like your fitness, your heart health, then, you know, you'll be on these medicines for all your life.
Yeah, and even just to reiterate the point about, actually, I really love what you said, because I think sometimes we have to also look beyond weight, as in what we can physically see, because I've had a lot of patients that are genuinely shocked when they're diagnosed with diabetes and they're skinny. They actually are shocked, or they have high blood pressure, because it is not just, obviously you being obese increases your risk, but there just needs to be a culture in general about health. I mean, obviously, it's just that, like, you can actually be skinny because it's in your DNA to be that way, but you can still get, so you're like, oh, because I'm slim, I can just eat. And then listen, when the metabolism slows down, it's long for you. Do you see? So it's not just a case of like, oh, now that you're big, you have to fix your weight. It's actually like, it doesn't matter what size you are, be health conscious in general, and, you know, and just develop yourself, because as well, health actually does match up with with your mental space as well, like your mental health as well. There are huge links, you know, especially, for example, if you are overweight. That's why I think I was reading something where they're going to start charging or penalizing parents when their kids are overweight, because you don't realize that it actually causes a bigger impact, the fact that the child is overweight, because then you have situations like they get bullied, they aren't able to like do the same things that, you know, the poor kid can't run as much as the other kids, and it will cause mental health issues in the long run. I mean, I worked a lot actually last month with substance users, and you know, I like to like find out their story. They're quite open, and a lot of it was bullying at school. A lot of it was because they were overweight, and we really need to think about these things. I mean, even me sometimes, when I go to Zara and I'm not fitting in an M or an L, like it sounds silly, but it actually, like, if you're not in control of your mind, it can affect you. And we need to consider our health as wider than, you know, what we see, but also what goes on in our mind. And I think when you've got a good mind, I mean, when you've got good health, everything else kind of runs with it. That makes sense.
One of the comments, Alexis mentioned gut health, and it's so crazy she said that, because you can't see inside of you. But if you're eating a lot of sugar, a lot of foods that are processed foods, it leads to inflammation. And like you said, everything is linked. So your gut is linked to your mind. So if you want your mind to be healthy, but your gut is not healthy, that link is going to kind of be, you know, it's going to be messed up. So it's really important to see our bodies and ourselves as one. What I eat is going to affect the way I feel. It can even affect my thoughts. It can make me tired. It can make me lazy, you know, and so on and so forth. So really important.
That's so true though, because I remember I didn't eat sugar for like 2 months, guys. I've never felt so clean in my lifetime. As in, you know, there's like no bloating, like you feel so good, and that's just because of what you eat. Because basically what happens when you eat processed foods, it forms like a coat in your mouth, so you actually can't taste you can't taste food the same way. So what it is, so you find out when you cut out processed foods, you actually taste vegetables and fruits really well, and it's almost like an addiction. Like, wow, like food tastes good, like food from the earth tastes good.
Sorry, I just have to say this. The other day I was making my dinner and I had a salad left. I literally offered everyone around me salad. Everyone said no. They were looking at me like,
how dare you?
Why am I
eating the burger and now you want to give me
Are you insulting me?
Honestly, like, it's so funny. But just
even Ghana salad is like,
Ghana salad
that's not
baked beans,
egg,
corned beef,
soaked
egg, and then cream, salad cream. It's terrible.
But let's round up here. I think the main thing from that is holistically to think about yourself from the inside out. Be health conscious. Really think. Someone said being health conscious is so important. Being aware of yourself, knowing that whatever you put in is going to affect your productivity, whatever comes out. There's no point trying to make yourself super successful or trying to make yourself look a certain way on the outside if you haven't taken that time to develop what's within. So guys, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed that panel. We'll definitely do it again. So just before we round up, if we can we'll start with Genevieve. Tell us your socials, where people can find you.
Okay, it's at GENE_BOATENG. So that's Jenny_Boateng. Me and Ebun also have a pharmacy page, pharmacy education. So it's pharmed_UK. So that's PHARMED_UK.
Hi everyone. So my socials are Risata_K1, RISATA_K1, and you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, most platforms.
Hi everyone. To find me, it's at Ebun L, so it's EBUNELLE. Also Pharmed UK, and I also have another platform called Healthnicity. That's at healthin_the_city.
Excellent. And Risata didn't tell you guys that she's a rapper.
Yes,
I don't know how
she's a lit rapper, guys.
We didn't make you perform.
It's
tonight.
true.
So tell them where they can find you. I believe you're on Spotify.
Yeah, so you can find my music. Just type in Risata K on YouTube, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music, everywhere basically, guys. So follow me, and let's get me to the top of the charts.
When you in the top chart though, I think I saw you said you were on the top chart.
Top chart.
You were in a chart,
Yeah,
like you were quite high.
I was nominated for an award recently. Thank you.
Can we still vote?
No, I think it's the panel that chooses.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically a Christian. I was nominated for the best Christian female rapper in the UK. So yeah, I thank God for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, definitely. And you can find me at Dr. Emma AAA. So that'll be 4 A's. Dr. Emma AAA on Instagram. And of course, make sure you follow the House of Medics. Make sure you've liked this stream, please. Go back, like the stream. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the House of Medics. We're on Instagram at We Are House of Medics, TikTok at We Are House of Medics, and we're on Twitter, House of Medics, and Facebook, House of Medics. And our website is www.houseofmedics.org. We've got so much planned for this year. Make sure you subscribe on the website also to keep up to date with what we're up to. We'll be back in 2 weeks, live on YouTube again. It's going to be a bit of a controversial one. We're going to be discussing the mandatory COVID vaccine with a few people that have some strong opinions. So make sure you join. And very lastly, I have to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Flaky Bakes. They make the most amazing patties, but more than just being a patty, a bakery, they are actually a community. They support a lot of people within their community. They create platforms for young people to do amazing stuff. So make sure you check out Flaky Bakes. There's going to be a short advert from our sponsor, Flaky Bakes, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.